But yeah, so Nathan, if you want to give yourself a quick little introduction, and then
Yes.
we'll get rolling.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Hess. Name of my business is Nathan Hess Retics. Just thought I'd make it nice and simple to include my name into it. I've been currently keeping retics full time again for the last 2 years.
Hmm.
Did it quite a while whenever I was younger growing up, but took a good 20 years off from it.
Oh
So a lot
wow,
has changed and a lot more exciting now.
yeah. What were you keeping 20 years ago?
I had small, well, I had, ball pythons, but I did buy, I bought a purple tiger. Um, I don't even know how long ago that was, maybe 17, 18 years ago.
Hmm.
From that was from Prehistoric Pets.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that was the easy thing to, they advertised well. Someone
yeah.
that's not aware of anything, easy ordered it, got it sent in to me, and
Now, what was a purple tiger going for all them years ago?
I had zero money, so it couldn't have been too much money.
Yeah,
Um, It was a male. Well, my cat is being crazy. Um, yeah. Um, I believe I really want to say it was. I think like 22 to $2,500
yeah.
for the purple tiger.
And
I mean
about
that was a fortune for me. I mean it's still a lot of
yeah.
money now.
Oh yeah,
Uh, but yeah, that's I loved it. I loved the color. It was really really nice.
yeah,
Uh, I'm gonna get rid of this cat. Hold on, give me 1 second.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I just threw my cats out. They were in here banging shit around. I just threw them out.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. I guess he wanted to be part of the show too. All
That's
right.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
We
But
we
yeah,
love all the animals.
yeah, but yeah, no, that's awesome. That I remember my first retic was a wild caught yellowhead when I was
Okay.
19, and that snake was awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it was
bought a
not fun.
I bought a yellowhead from Bob when I was probably 18 or 19.
Hmm.
Um I bought a couple anacondas. Or I'm not for sure. I think I bought an anaconda from Bob too when I was a lot younger, but
Hmm.
I'm not for certain, so don't hold me to that.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I had a tiger retic. Just man, he was mean. Um, I don't know if maybe he was mean or I just wasn't experienced. Like I didn't know
yeah,
what I was doing. I didn't read the signs that were right in front of me. But I really enjoyed the Burmese pythons that I had. That they were always sweethearts.
yeah. They're usually pretty mellow.
Hmm.
They're pretty mellow. I always had to watch myself not to get bit by berms because they're so mellow. You just get. I always got too comfortable with them.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
I was my retics. I never get comfortable with them,
yeah,
so they kind of keep me on my toes.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I had a list of questions here. Figured we
yeah.
hit them. So you used to be into retics. So what made you want to get back into them after all these years?
So I never wanted to leave. Um,
Okay.
but having the family and the priorities, responsibilities, they're not a cheap animal to house and take care of properly.
No.
And just couldn't do it. Um, I have 4 kids. My oldest is 16, youngest is 7. And the last couple of years, we're in a good spot financially.
Hmm.
I was able to convince my wife, Emily, to let me utilize the basement. So that was a hurdle. And so we're just in a good spot where we can adequately care for these animals and give them what they need. People they tell you how fun they are, but they fail to tell you, if you have multiples, how many freezers do you have? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I had to go buy a commercial grade freezer because I had to go in my garage. That's thousands of dollars. I know you can get away with other things, but
Mhm.
just the cost. I wanted to be financially stable to be able to do this. And that was the biggest, holdback for me.
Really? Well, it doesn't look like you held anything back on your cages, that's for sure. You know.
No, I didn't on this one. I'm gonna turn off that light. That's bugging me. So yeah, I forgot what was the question you were asking me.
Oh, it was what made you want to get back into retics after all
Oh,
these
okay.
years?
Yeah, and like you said, that was my main concern. I wanted to be able to, I didn't want to start a project
Mm-hmm.
and then not be able to afford it or do it to the extent that I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I had a background in carpentry. I knew I could make these. I watched a lot of YouTube
Oh,
videos.
did you make all them?
Oh yeah, I made everything.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yep.
neat.
Yeah, each one, it's roughly, depending on the size of them, anywhere from 3,000 to $5,000 per
Wow.
enclosure. And I can't even count the endless amount of hours,
Yeah.
that it takes. But I get that enjoyment out of them. Last night I was staying up watching on my cameras that I have in each enclosure. My ocelot was just, she was on one last night. She was
Really?
exploring, going over the logs, and I'm just watching it in my bedroom trying to go to sleep. And, it just brings such a smile to my face.
Yeah, that's neat.
But yeah, it was, I mean, obviously the only thing I didn't make was the glass. I had to have that special ordered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, anything and everything in these enclosures I made. The backgrounds are really it's that styrofoam from like Home Depot, that
Yeah.
pink foam board.
Foam board.
Yep, I will glue that on, um, and then I'll take a carving tool onto one of my drills, and I'll sit in there with a mask on and a respirator, and I'll
Yeah.
just start carving away. I get it how I like it. You take a heat gun, to shrink it up, and then I do 6 to 8 layers of dry lock
Okay.
to secure it, to make it waterproof, and then I use concrete dye in the dry lock
Hmm.
to give it the colors and the tones.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't think of those. Brad, I can't pronounce his last name. I think it starts with a G.
Mm.
I watched all of his videos, and that's what he was using. He's now using some epoxy.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit different, but that's where I got the ideas from.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. That sounds like that took a ton of time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it took a ton of time.
Yeah, a lot. It took a lot. Um, but that's what I enjoy. I hear all the time, or I see people on, the Facebook groups. They're saying they have their retics out all the time. I do take them out. But my enjoyment comes from leaving them alone and watching them in as close as a natural habitat that I can get them.
Oh, okay.
Um, that's what I really, really enjoy.
Just watching
Um,
them do their thing.
yeah, yeah, I can watch them all day long. Um, it's or while I'm working, I'll pull up the videos. Um, when it's nice out, I'll get them all out.
Hmm.
And throughout the week, I'll make sure I get one out or two out, for a little bit of time. I think that's what I'm hearing. My Kayawati, she's hopefully gonna be doing her pre-lay shed soon.
Oh,
So
really?
she was over there making some noise.
Now, quick question.
Mhm.
If somebody wanted to pay you to make them an enclosure like that,
Mhm.
is that something you would
Yeah,
offer? Okay.
yeah,
Just in
absolutely.
case somebody's watches this and be like, "Hey, I got the money.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah. I
get you
mean,
some
I spared
business."
no expense
Yeah.
when it came to that. These enclosures are 100% controlled via my phone. I don't have to
Okay.
do anything.
Wow.
I have the heat where it ramps up and then it ramps
Hmm.
down. Same with the lighting, it does the same thing. And then I have UVB lighting in there. I know it's kind of questionable. Some people say they need it, some people say they
Yeah.
don't. I
Which
thought I'm
can't
gonna go
hurt.
ahead and right. So I'm
Can't
just gonna
hurt.
include it. Um, the and that was my goal. How do I simplify this?
Hmm.
I have, the hose to the water source downstairs. It's on like one of those retractable hoses.
Yeah.
My vacuum, the shop vac to take it out, the water out, it literally takes me no time at all to give them all fresh water,
Hmm.
and then replenish it. So really the only thing I have to do is feed them, and I'll obviously clean their enclosures. Um, but everything else is all automated. It's just really neat
Wow.
seeing that. But yeah, I will build them. They are not cheap. They take a lot of time to do. I'm very particular on how I do them. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, if someone's interested.
All right. Yeah, we'll put a link up for this on how to get a hold of
Okay.
you. Um yeah, so what are you working with? You mentioned a Kiowati. I figured we'd go through your, what you're working with, and then after that we'll go through your breeding plans,
Yeah.
what you're planning on making.
Yeah. So I currently have a female Aztec. I have I'll go kind of the order that I think I purchased them. Then I have a purple Sunfire OGS. That's a male.
Hmm.
I have a Ocelot. I believe she's 66% het Indo or white.
Okay.
Um, I'm, I have to look through my notes, but I believe that's what she is.
Yeah.
Um, I have well, I just recently purchased that Tiger Aztec het Mocha or white
Oh, I
male.
didn't know that was a posset.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
no, I'm
yeah, I
sorry, it's
did.
not a posset. It is a het.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a het.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's either mocha or white that Tiger
Okay.
Aztec is. Um, and then I have the blue hypo fire pos het pied female.
Hmm.
She's probably the sweetest one out of all of them.
That's funny.
Um,
Everyone says their hypos are assholes.
oh,
Everyone
really?
says, yeah, everyone says their hypos are
Oh,
mean.
she's right behind me. Well, she's moving all around. I don't know. It's kind
Hmm.
of hard to see. But
Yeah.
I open it up, she'll come right out. Like she's the sweetest one. I really don't have any of them that are concerning or
Really.
a bad attitude. My male purple son OGS, he was at the beginning,
Hmm.
but he calmed down.
Hmm.
And so I have that one. Oh, and then I have the she's almost 5, the pure Coyote.
Okay.
And then lastly, for the retics, I have a purple Super Sunfire Hogs female.
Okay.
And then I have a green Anaconda I just recently purchased.
Oh, yeah, I
That's just
think
for me. I just
yeah.
want that one for my own.
Yeah, I think I saw you posting about that, picking
Yeah,
up
I
that
love the
green.
Anacondas. I'm not gonna breed them.
Okay. Now, for your breeding, like, you jumped back into this, and you really went with some of the newer, higher end
Mhm.
morphs. So, is
Yeah.
that, what do you got? What's your breeding plans looking like?
Well, it was funny. Me and my wife were talking, and I want them to breed. I wouldn't
Uh-huh.
spend this type of money on them if wasn't hoping to get some type of return on
Yeah,
them.
get something back.
Right? Um, but I remember when I first started looking at this again, I saw an Aztec. And I
Yeah.
remember I reached out to the person and they were overseas. And I thought, oh damn. That was my favorite. When I saw that, I knew I had to have it. So then whenever one became available,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't care what it cost, I was buying it. Um, so that's what I did. I purchased it right then. Um, so all of my plans, I feel like some people have, certain directions that they go with their projects.
Yeah.
Um, I want myself to be known for the Aztecs and Super Aztecs.
Yeah.
That is my niche. That's what I want to do. Um, so all these are incorporating, and it's a little bit more challenging, I think, for me because these things haven't been made yet. We haven't seen a hypo Aztec.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a an Aztec OGS or an Aztec Ocelot, which I know that that pairing. I don't know if they have eggs yet or not overseas.
I
But
know. Yeah, I saw they did that breeding.
yeah,
I'm actually really interested in seeing what that does. Cause you having trouble hearing me.
no, I clicked a button on accident, so I was going to
Okay.
talk to Siri for some reason.
But no, I'm really interested in seeing what that does because I'm really interested to see who wins out on the color, whether the
Mhm.
Aztec wins or the Ocelot wins. But either way, I think it's going to make an animal with a massive amount of black.
Yeah, yep,
I think it's going to have a ton of black on it.
yeah, yeah, and that's what's interesting. Is it going to come out to be an Aztec? that's het ocelot, or is it going to
Mm.
be, I forget the name of the term, where they,
I doubt it's allelic. If it's
oh,
allelic,
that's what I was,
I'll
yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I like the unknown portion of it,
Yeah.
and that's why I went that route of trying to find the rarest ones that I could locate,
Hmm.
but I also had to like them.
Yeah.
And with the hypos, I love their color pattern. They really stand out
Mhm.
to me. Ocelots, um, that they're, I mean, all of the ones that I purchased are amazing in my personal view, but I wanted to be open to all the markets. So
Mhm.
that's why I purchased a Super Dwarf, which I understand is like the biggest to be classified as that. And I don't know if Super Dwarf is even the right term. I think they
Yeah.
small, medium, large, or whatever you want to, classify them as. I will tell you this, she's on the longer side, you know,
Yeah.
of that.
Coyotes can get pretty decent size.
Yeah, she's up there. Um, but I wanted to take some of the projects and shrink them down.
Hmm.
Um, but there's not a whole lot of, or that I have seen, like Kalatoa hypos.
I
Or
don't know why that's not been done yet.
okay.
I don't know
Um,
why, but yeah, it's like you would. I thought we'd really be closer to visual Superdorf, hypo Superdorf ocelots for sure.
mhm,
I honestly thought we'd have them on the ground already.
yeah,
So that really surprises me that we don't.
yeah. So I just wanted to see what I could do to reduce the size,
Hmm.
but also you run into, I mean, you have talked about this plenty of times, like with the Aztec going to the Coyote versus the Aztec going to a Tiernate.
Yeah.
Um, I understand what you're saying about the blacks on the Tiernate. I think that that would look better. But since this hasn't been done, it gave me enough to be like, hey, well, let's see what it actually does look like. If it was already produced and we're like, oh, that's not cool, I'm not going to make something just to make it.
Yeah.
I want to have some thought process behind it. Um, and that's the why with her, my male, purple Sunfire OGS, he's older and he's ready to breed. But I'm
Mm.
not putting him in there just to have eggs. If it's not what
Yeah.
I want to have planned, I will not do it.
So
Uh,
you ran the Aztec Tiger.
yes, yes, he's having the time of his life.
Hmm.
Um, um, and that's nerve-wracking for me. I've never done that before. I'm putting a little snake in with a big old snake.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been able to reach out to a lot of people, gain advice, and see what's happening. He is, I believe he's 10 months old. Yeah, he was born April 9th. So whatever.
Is he at least 6 feet?
Oh yeah,
Oh, then
yeah,
he should be good to go.
yeah, yeah. We've had a plan to, or I've had a plan to get him um, ready as soon as I could. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a race, especially with the Aztecs.
Yeah,
That,
with you producing it first time you breed it, it's
yeah,
definitely going to be a race. But
yeah,
man, you coming out swinging with a Coyote breeding like that, you're definitely ahead of the curve already.
yeah. And so hopefully that works out. I've heard a lot of kind of back and forth of you shouldn't breed a male mainland to a female super dwarf. And then I've heard
It's
people
not
say
going to hurt.
no.
It's not going to hurt Coyote. Coyote that'll be fine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I kind of took that as like I wouldn't do that to a little Kalatoa, or that would
Yeah.
be a concern. But then again, I'm very new. I don't know that information. I just try to put feelers out and then get the most knowledge and then make an informed decision the best I can.
No, that should be okay. There shouldn't
So
be an issue
then
there.
then I'll take that and potentially breed it, I want to up the percentages of that for the Aztecs. Depending on how they look. Like again, if it doesn't look appealing to me,
Hmm.
I'm not going to waste it and just breed it again just so I can say I have 75%. super dwarf Aztecs.
Well, and the other thing is, though, you're going to get a decently wide range of looks because you got all that mainland blood, which is actually Borneo because it came from Borneo. It's got a lot of Borneo blood in it. Then you have the tiger gene, so you're gonna have to. It's like things are gonna mix a little different. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So you're gonna
Yeah.
get a nice wide range of looks. Now, one thing about Coyotes, they do have a lot of pattern outlining and some decent side banding. So you are putting, you do have a potential, especially for the side, to add a lot of space in there for some color. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think they'll look good. I think you'll get
Yeah.
some decent, pretty decent looking stuff.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't look quite like you like, then you can always just get a different locality and take one of those babies. It's not
Yeah.
hard. It's not hard to make something look better. You just figure out what you need and add it.
Yeah.
That's really all you got to do.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's a really interesting breeding, and because a lot of people with Aztec, they're immediately going to go for some gene stacking stuff, and
Hmm.
to go the locality route, I think that's a much smarter route to go.
Yeah. I really want the recessive traits added to the Aztecs because, like
Yeah.
you said, I feel like, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I
Mhm.
feel like that's more the immediate satisfaction. You
Yeah.
can gene stack it. Um, and there's some really cool things that they've made overseas that we want to replicate here, and I completely get that. Um, but I want to go the other rate. I want to have the OGS Aztecs, the Hypo
Hmm.
Aztecs, the Ocelot Aztecs, the Mocha Aztecs, or
Hmm.
Lavender. The way my plan is, hopefully, will happen, but if I take my Tiger Aztec male to the purple Super Sunfire Hogs, there's some crazy cool stuff that can be made out of that.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I'm more concerned with the recessive traits
Hmm.
of the Aztec. Um, One, I like the way those look more. Um, Two, they should hold their value longer too.
Yeah. Well, like a purple sun Aztec, that's probably going to be a pretty good looking animal. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can be doing with that.
Hmm.
Um. So are you gonna plan on adding any more morphs in, or are you just gonna, some of your baseline stuff, like anthrax, anything like that? I mean, I guess you don't really need marble. You got Aztec, which is the thicker black version of a marble. So I don't see you needing that.
My space is limited. That's been the hardest part of this. I could have built twice as many enclosures,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to do that. I wanted them, I wanted to feel good about where they were living. Some of them I built now, and they're pretty big. It's like, man, that's too small for them. I need to get something bigger. Um, so we're potentially going to be moving soon, building a home. So I have seven enclosures now, custom enclosures.
Hmm.
I plan on building three or four more, but one is going to be an aquatic one for the green anaconda.
Okay.
Um, so that will take one away for breeding. And I don't know if this is frowned upon or not, but there are some of the snakes in my collection, I'm only using them for a breeding or two.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping them forever. I think that's a reality of what people do. Um,
Well, people like to virtue signal and talk about some bullshit, but the reality is, if you're a breeder, you're a
yeah,
breeder. It
yeah,
just is what it is.
yeah. But there's some of them, like my Aztec female. I have no intention. I'll keep her forever.
Yeah.
Um, she's just the one that I saw. She still gives me goosebumps whenever she's really looking good.
Yeah.
Um, so I plan on keeping her forever. So there's a couple, and then the ones that I grow out too. I'll
Yeah.
need a place for them once they get out of the racks. Um, I'm not fond of keeping them in racks. It's a necessary thing, and I understand that too. You
Yeah,
can't have
especially when
that
they're
many.
especially when they're hatchlings.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the most. I wouldn't even want to say it's the most convenient. It's the most logical
Yes.
situation. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It just is.
Yeah. Um, and and I have no problem keeping them in there also while I'm marketing them, while I'm
Yeah.
selling them. But if I'm going to keep the animal because I'm going to breed it, and it's going to be part of my family, and maybe as corny as that sounds, um, I don't want to overextend and then have them in an enclosure that I didn't custom build.
Okay.
I don't need. 'Cause one of your questions is this going to be a business or a hobby or somewhere in between?
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between. It's definitely not a business model that I need to sell a single snake.
Hmm.
Um, but I hope to, you know. Um, but so that means, I don't have to overextend and then buy the next best thing. Um, but there's two snakes that I'm really looking forward to purchasing whenever I move. One, I want the Ternate that
Yeah.
we've talked about. I think that will be a great addition to shrink them down some. And I fully understand that 50% doesn't mean anything. I think that's a misconception, or a marketing tool. They think, oh, it's a 50%, Coyote, it's going to be so small. Well, my 100% Coyote isn't so small, you know. But that is the first step on getting there.
Yeah.
Um, so I want one of those, and then I like the size of the Karampas, or I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah. Karampa. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd want a male, or actually, I don't even know which one I would want.
I'd go with a
Um,
male.
okay.
Female
Uh,
super dwarfs are just, there's so many things that goes wrong with female super dwarfs when you breed them.
gotcha.
Trust me,
Yeah.
just get a male. Yep.
So, those are the two localities that I'm looking for.
Okay.
But as in a morph, Travis, fingers crossed, the jigsaw works out. Um, and then I would be very interested in that if he ever made anything available, or you know
Yeah, I know he's trying. There's just that whole group that came into the country. I had one here, had a little falling out with the person who'd sent it here. Um, and they'd sent a bunch of stuff here on consignment, and I put all their stuff back in a box and sent it back. And now I kind of wish I wouldn't, and I would have just paid and kept that jigsaw, because I don't know what happened, but at some point something happened and they all just developed issues. And the
Oh,
one that
okay.
was here was fine. I mean, she was doing
Yeah.
great. And yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's had those issues with those snakes. So I don't know if they caught something. I don't, because there was nothing about when the jigsaws were here, there was nothing about them that indicated that there was anything wrong. So,
Mhm.
maybe they got exposed to something later on, and who knows. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really unfortunate. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a weird backstory on Jigsaw. Um Nobody, from I did talk to a lot of people, and supposedly it's actually the original morph was actually from Sulawesi.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, it got pushed that a lot that it was Javan or Sumatran, but I had somebody that sent me some pictures, and like, no, my relative actually caught it, and they sent me pictures of the original wild caught. And it made sense, because this would have been like an F1 that I'd seen in person, and it had some Saputrite color traits to it. So I do think it was actually a Sulawesi morph.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. But I think back, to it, the fascinating thing side of it is like the unknown with it. And
yeah.
that's more what I'm drawn to. Um, and see how I can implement that into these other traits,
Oh,
if it
I
would
know.
ever
I
come.
know how I could make nice
Yeah.
jigsaws. I know exactly how to make nice jigsaws.
Yeah. So that would be the only, unless something crazy comes up that really, catches my eye. I mean, a lot of the things that are coming up, it's like, I don't want to spend that money when I can make it eventually.
Yeah, that's how I
And
think.
yeah, space is limited. Um, so I want to be very deliberate, when I make a purchase, and that I'm not gonna just, I don't want to purchase it and then 6 months later, like, oh, that's not what I wanted, and then try to sell it.
Yeah,
I want to purchase it, see it through on what my plans actually are. And then, if it's time for me to sell it and have it find another good home, then that's what I'll do. But I don't want to regret my purchase.
Yeah. See,
Um,
I'm surprised you don't have any anthrax stuff. Seems like anthrax would be plugged in pretty well because I'm looking at that hypo behind you and I'm looking at it thinking, man, you that'd be a
yeah,
really nice, the anthrax version of that would probably be pretty nice.
yeah. Honestly, so I did have an anthrax initially. Um, whenever a couple years ago, I was talking with my wife, and she knows this has always been a hobby or a dream or
Hmm.
something that I wanted, to do. So she's fully on board with it, been very supportive. Like I said, it's very time consuming, it's very expensive. So I didn't just buy a ball python to throw in my room.
Yeah.
This affects us too. And but before we went, said, hey, we're gonna breed them. I did buy it was an anthrax female. Yeah, what's the name of it? Yellow. Can't remember the name. I don't know. It had some other trait, and it's very compatible to, I think, like platinum.
Oh, lemon glow.
Lemon glow. Yes. Um,
I was the first person to make a lemon glow sunfire.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really neat. I love the anthrax, the eyes. But when I went with the darker colors, I tried to get my family's input. They all have
Yeah.
names for each one of them. They really were drawn to the brighter
Yeah.
colors on some of them. So sometimes I said, "Oh, that's okay, but we're still not getting it." But yeah, just the anthrax has not fit into my scheme yet. It's definitely not ruled out at all. Just not there yet. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a purple sunfire. No, sorry, an Indo anthrax sun tiger. I'm trying to make that snake this season to plug that into Mindanaos and Ternates.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's so I mean it's such a long process. So I had to make a snake to make a snake just to start the project. So you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm already like 4 or 5 years in on this project, and I technically haven't started it yet.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
dude,
And
this
that's
is a long ass like this hobby takes forever to do it. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's such a long time consuming thing.
Yeah. And it's not that immediate satisfaction.
No.
Um, and like people, you see the comments, oh, it's a get rich scheme. And people, go into it, they spend all this money, they think they're going to be rich,
Hmm.
doing that. Again, I hope I make some money, but my main purpose is, like I said, I enjoy coming down here, watching them, interacting with them, seeing them in their enclosures,
Yeah.
and I want to make the new stuff. It's just the unknown is what drives me to that. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens with well, one, I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to breeding.
Oh,
So this is
breeding's easy.
all well,
Dude, there's
I hope it
nothing.
works out.
Breeding's the easiest part of retics. Everyone thinks that shit's like there's some trick to it. There ain't no trick to it. The trick is just let them do their thing. That's the trick to
Yeah,
breeding. You know.
yeah,
I mean, it is a cycle. Like once you stop looking at breeding like it's random and start and just realize like it's a whole follicle development cycle.
hmm
Like it's super easy then.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody last night doing a consultation, and he's trying some things and trying some things. Like I don't do none of that.
yeah,
I have my temps, I have their enclosures, and I feed them, and that's all I do. That's how I
yeah,
breed retics.
yep,
It's just yeah. If you watch if you really start to watch them after a breeding season or two and just really pay attention to them, like
hmm
that's when you realize it's like
yeah,
you start picking up on some early follicle development and it's pretty easy. So it's a shed cycle thing. The whole thing's a shed cycle. It's
gotcha.
so easy.
Yeah, so that's where the stressful part right now. Haven't even started, but hopefully it works out
Yeah.
with this current breeding. If not, it'll be fine, and we'll move on to the next one when the time comes. But every day I learn something more or I observe something
Mhm.
more. Um, back to those like Facebook groups. Um, I was writing everything down on dry erase boards. when they ate, when they shed. That was fine until my kids came over here and bumped up against it and erased all my data.
Yeah.
It's like, ah, you little bastards. So then I got notebooks for all of them. And that was time consuming, flipping through each page doing that. And then I saw someone, brought up like the same concern. And then I don't know if it was Lucas or someone else. They mentioned those notebooks, the Remarkable too.
Okay.
It's a little I don't know, not a laptop, tablet, and it is only for notes
Hmm.
and writing. And that is the best thing. So every time they eat, I put that down. If they would refuse, I'll annotate that. When they shed, their size, when I got them, when I measured them last,
Hmm.
you name it, it's all there. So I access it on that tablet, but then it goes to my phone, so I can add notes, even away from my house or look at
Hmm.
something. Um, that has been a big game changer in tracking, the animals and writing down anything that maybe is a little bit different,
Hmm.
and putting the date next to it, and I can always refer back to it.
Hmm. Now, how old are your? You said your Kaiwati's around 5, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
she'll be
How?
5 in a month or so.
And this is just first time breedings. Like
Yes.
she didn't show any interest last season.
No, well, she could have. I don't know.
Yeah.
So my new mind to this was if she didn't stop eating, she wasn't interested. I believe there's more to that. Um, but I could have missed something. I mean, that's probably what happened. But no, it wasn't until December 26th. She shed on the 26th, refused on the 29th.
Okay.
Food. And then I thought, oh, that's okay. But it was kind of weird,
Hmm.
um, because she never refused. And then I tried it again a few days later, and then she refused. I thought, okay. So then, I put the mail in there. And I was nervous, didn't know if he was going to be interested because of his age. And he went right to it.
Yeah. She was ready. That was her pre-off shed. But
Yeah, and that's
that. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm learning. And she went into blue.
But it should have been about 3 weeks. It should have been about 3 weeks after that pre-off shed that she would have went in the blue.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
when, yeah, because we're looking a little bit past 3 weeks right now. It's almost been a month, or it's been
Yeah.
a little bit over a month,
Hmm.
so, um, yeah, so just a little nerve, I just don't know what to do, and just making sure I'm doing the best I can, and ultimately making sure that I'm not putting either one of the snakes in I don't want the snakes to get hurt. Um, you know, that's the last thing that I want them to do. So,
Yeah.
um, just really reaching out to people, trying to get information and tips and tricks, and um, hopefully gives me a fighting chance at doing it,
Yeah.
you
You got
know.
you got your incubator ready?
Yeah, so again, the aspects I think that people don't think of when they go into this trying to get rich quick is the cost. Um, I looked at purchasing a super expensive incubator. But I heard some reviews I wasn't, I was kind of hesitant on getting. So I scratched that idea. But I went with animal plastics because I could get a hold of them and actually talk to someone.
Yeah.
And that's really big for me. Um, so I can't remember her name, but she's phenomenal. I talked to her quite often. I purchased a 6-foot incubator
Hmm.
from them like a year ago. I had no intentions on using it until the earliest this year, but I wanted to be prepared. I purchased a generator in case the power goes out while I have
Yeah.
them running. I'm not going to use that generator. Hopefully, I never have to use it. But I'm prepared in case I do. And then one day I thought, well, damn, what happens if my incubator goes out? I need a backup incubator. So Animal Plastics just came out with their 3-foot incubator. So I purchased that. Um, but whenever I received them, it was during the warmer months, because I wanted to make sure they worked. Um, and they did. They got the temp no problem. Well, this is in my basement. I live in Missouri. It's
Mm,
cold right now. My 6 foot incubator, it gets the temp no problem at all. I put the tubs in there. I put the thermostats, the probes inside of it on how, like I don't want any surprises.
yeah,
The 3 foot incubator, it can only get to 84 degrees.
that's weird.
Yeah, so I've been troubleshooting with this is why I like animal plastics. I can get a hold of them where I'm troubleshooting. I purchased it 7, 8 months ago, and not once did they say, "Well, that's your problem. You should have looked at it 7, 8 months ago."
Hmm.
They're willing to help me out. They're right now troubleshooting it. They're having I don't know who's designed it at the shop, but they're looking at it. I've taken it apart. Took the temperatures, measurements of everything to send them the data to see if they can figure out what's wrong. Because in my mind and in her mind is if the 6 foot can get to that temp, there's no reason why the 3 foot can't.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
doesn't make much sense. I mean, you might be a. I'd try a couple different probes. You might be getting a misread from a probe that's not calibrated.
well, and that's what she said. She said, so full disclosure, she said, run it not on a thermostat,
Hmm.
but you have to be there the whole entire time.
Yeah.
She said, do not leave. So she was very, and I said, okay. So I did that. It wouldn't get past 84 degrees.
Wow, that's weird.
So I took videos of it, took photos, but I hauled it upstairs where the ambient's a lot warmer. It got to 88 degrees, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, so
So
yeah, if
something
it's it,
done.
yeah, if it just doesn't have the power to get,
Yeah.
you know, to get over. Well, you know what you could do? You could probably wouldn't look too nice, but you could glue a bunch of styrofoam board either inside or outside.
To insulate it.
Yep, yeah, it'll probably do
Yeah.
just fine.
Yeah.
I
But she told me that they test these in a cooler condition too for,
mm,
people do keep them in cooler,
yeah.
situations. But so this week should get back to me and we'll see what our next step is. But either way, I mean they're wonderful people. So I have no doubt that they're not going to work with me.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't build your own incubator after you built all those cages.
Yeah, and I looked at it and it was a whole lot cheaper to do it that way. But I
Mm-hmm.
thought I'm not going to have that much money in eggs and it rely on me to incubate them properly.
Yeah.
I just was nervous. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to do that.
Well, I
Um,
made I made my incubators, and what I did was I made them 6 foot long, but they're only 12 inches high.
I read where you did that
Yeah,
recently.
and I used styrofoam board in it because I actually built like wooden frames with like furring strips, and then put the styrofoam in there, and then put 1/4 inch plywood over it, and like made like pieces, and then just built a
Yeah,
box. That's all I did.
yeah, yeah. And I would feel better now, like having incubators where
Hmm.
I have seen them now.
Yeah.
I can see the insides, how they work, and you can see that on the video too. But yeah, that part I thought I don't feel comfortable. I'm just gonna buy it. We're gonna do this as you as possible, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but I mean, overall, I have some of their rack systems. I have their big tub system, like the biggest one that they have.
Hmm.
Everything works great from them. So I'm excited to see what we figure out and how we can, fix this little problem. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's maybe it needs an extra piece of heat tape or something stupid in it.
yeah, yeah,
Just something stupid that's easy fix.
yep, yep. More higher wattage, she said.
Hmm.
But the thing is, too, that's exactly to your point. You said, "Hey, do you have your incubators running?" Um, don't wait to the last second. You
Yeah.
know, you think you got something happening, you get them up and running. Um, and that's the whole purpose of why I had an extra one. If that was my only one,
Hmm.
I'd be scrambling right now.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just try.
once you get a bunch of tubs in there filled with perlite and eggs, they might actually, like it's like a freezer. The more shit that's in it, the easier
Yeah,
it gets the temp. So I mean,
yeah,
sometimes the stuff in there will help raise temp and help stabilize it a little bit more.
yeah.
I'm real bad about even turning my incubators on or setting up egg boxes. I'm always scrambling, Like today, I went down. There was a clutch of eggs. I was like, "Fuck!" I had to go. I had to go get a. I had to get a tub and drill some holes in it and
Yeah.
all of that. It was a pair. It was an F1 to F1 Ternate. It's a. I was hoping to hit on them last year, and I didn't. Female slugged out, but it's. Did you see those apocalyptos things? Those crazy looking Ternates?
I believe so because I inquired about them, I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
with you.
yeah, and they were gone. Well, I didn't even
Yeah.
sell the Apocalyptos, but the other two that had those bloodlines, so they sold the day. I just posted pictures of them. They sold.
Yeah.
It's part of that group
Okay.
that I've been it's just 12 years been working on working on perfecting a back pattern on
Yeah.
normals. It's kind of ridiculous,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
that's what
mean,
I
they.
enjoy.
Yeah, they are normals, but I mean, they stand out though.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's what draws people to them. I mean, that's what draws me to them.
yeah. Yeah, I'd be real interested to see what you can do with your animals with a ternate. You had some of
Yeah.
that blood in there. I'd be real interested to see what you're able to what you're able to create with that. That would be yeah, are you planning on besides the Karampa and the Ternate, are you planning on any other localities or are you going to keep it Kaiwadi, Ternate, Karampa?
Yeah, I mean, if something else comes up, really what I'm looking for is I don't want to be the norm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got the Coyote.
Yeah,
Everyone and
got
their
a
brother has
Kalatoa.
Kalatoas.
Yeah.
And and then Karampas, I inquired, no one had any available. Um, someone did, but I think they wanted 50 grand for it, and
That's a little
I
high.
yeah, I wasn't that,
Didn't want them that bad.
yeah, I didn't need it that bad.
Well,
So
you'll have
really,
a lot of trading power.
yeah,
You'll
yeah,
have
I
a
get
lot of
messages
trading
quite
power.
often,
Yeah.
about wanting to trade, and I'm all for trading, but it has to be something that I'm actually interested in.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, if there is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Starts with the M, the
Minden
Min.
House.
I really like those two and the Hallam.
Halmaharas.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, if I get too excited about them all, then I run out of the room.
Yeah.
So I just have to be so deliberate in what I do. Um, and that's why um, I'm interested in the ternates or ternates,
It's actually pronounced Ternate. I just call them Ternates.
ternates. Okay.
Just for short.
Um,
You know what I mean? Because I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to say Ternate Island. You know what I mean? So I just call them Ternates for short.
Yeah. But that one I'm really drawn to.
Yeah.
Really the Karampa, the overall color and pattern, they don't do it for me,
Hmm.
but the size does.
Yeah.
So just, and I mean they're not a ugly snake by any means, but I want to have a passion about each snake and each
Hmm.
pairing that I'm doing, and being available to all sorts of markets. If I can put in that super door, that's going to really help market. It's going to help expand the access to people to
Yeah.
experience these animals. It's difficult to have an enclosure properly, sized for one of these big retics. So if I can get more people interested in the hobby with a smaller one,
Yeah.
that's an avenue I want to take. But yeah, I mean, if something comes up where I can see a need for it, or not a need, but something that I would want to do, a passion, I would absolutely, be open to, putting something else in my
Yeah.
collection.
And that's what the super dwarfs really bring to the table is, their ability to make stuff smaller. And as long as you look at it, super dwarf, like, okay, this is what they bring to the table, and you're willing to bring something else to the table to kind of add some color and pattern, and you're willing to put in the extra time, then it's a non-issue that Karampa maybe doesn't have the best color
Yeah,
because you can always fix that later on, or if the people you're selling it to, if they don't give a shit about that, or if they're willing to fix it, then they can buy it and do their own project. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
I remember when I got into super dwarfs long time ago. And, that's immediately what I saw them as. It's like, wow, this is, like this is a manageable size retic, because everyone loves retics. It's
Hmm.
just they just don't love the size of retics.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the retics are such interesting snakes. They just don't
Yeah.
have the room for them. So if you can at least make them manageable. If you can make a
Yeah.
manageable size snake, I think that's kind of. I don't like telling everybody, get a retic because it's only gonna, it's gonna be under 9 feet. I don't even like saying that to people. Like, but
Hmm.
if you can just make something manageable,
Yeah.
that's, that's the game there.
Yeah. I kind of look at it as like 10 feet and under. If I
Yeah,
can get them under that size, I mean, people have red tail boas all the
yep,
time. They have no problem having a red tail boa, but when they hear the retic, like, no, that's gonna get too big.
yeah. And a red tail's like 10 times heavier too.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so but then again, you run the risk of, do you falsely advertise it by saying, hey, this snake shouldn't get over 10 feet
Yeah,
because it's 50% or 75%, and then next thing you know, it's 13 feet. So, that's the part where eh, I just want to make sure that I'm honest up front with everyone.
yeah.
But realistically, I mean, when you have my Aztec, she's over there. I think she's close to 12 feet.
Oh, really?
Um, she is curled up, and I mean, you wouldn't never expect her to be that big.
Yeah.
Um, but at nighttime when she's roaming around and she's all on everything, it's like, oh, I wish I had. She needs a bigger enclosure,
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that she does, but my personal standards is, that's what I'm shooting for. And that's what I'll do whenever I move. Um, and I kind of have it set up with my enclosures with like my 8 foot long enclosures and 6 feet, um, to how I have it planned on. Okay, well, I want so many to be of the smaller size
Mm-hmm.
potentially, to take up the space on here, and then my larger ones, I'm going to build some 10 and 12 foot enclosures
Oh,
whenever I
wow,
do
that's
move.
big.
Yeah, I just, and what sucks is sometimes it's like, damn, for a week you've been in this little spot. Go
Yeah.
roam around. What the hell are you
Yeah, I
doing?
know. They'll just sit there. You give them all that
Yeah.
space, and they just sit there for a week. They
Yeah.
don't move.
Yeah. Um, so, that's my plan. But it is interesting when I'm building these enclosures,
Mm-hmm.
all the different, I don't know what you want to call it. We'll say models I've built. Um, I used to have a radiant, no, a deep heat projector on one side of the enclosure,
Mm-hmm.
for heat. Now, I took the only heating source that they have is a radiant heat panel, that I get from Pro Products. Um, Nothing else, because that radiant heat panels, it gives them their hot spot, and then gradients all the way down
Mm-hmm.
for their cool spot, their cool side. Um, so I found that helps out tremendously. One, not buying all the cage protectors that go around the deep heat projector.
Yeah.
Um, you know, one less thing to plug in, and it was really redundant. It wasn't doing anything that I needed it to do. Because when I would look at the thermostat, it was never on. Because the radiant heat panels, were so good. Um, but I did, I read Glenn's book, and he discussed some heating aspects. And I know there's, obviously different ways of heating your enclosure, the benefits, pros and cons of each one.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I don't have all the for that, that research that was done, which was seemed like it was very extensive. I don't have all that heating elements in there.
Yeah.
Um, I feel I have all the lighting elements in there, but not the heating. So that is something I'm kind of playing around with. But realistically, the snakes, they love climbing on those lights,
Mm-hmm.
pulling the cage things down.
Ripping them
Um,
apart, breaking shit.
oh yeah, yeah, and then same with the UVB lights. My male purple Sunfire OGS, Herman is the name. Um, he doesn't get a UVB light. because he's mean to him. He'll curl up on there, and it's like, "No, you lost your chance, man. You don't get it anymore." Um,
Yeah, retics will
so
do dumb stuff given the opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
really will.
But um, the cage behind me, it's 5 feet tall, I think. Um, I think 5 or 6 feet wide and almost 3 feet deep. I wanted it to be all my other ones are a minimum of three feet deep. I like them having that room,
Mm,
but the space where I had it, I couldn't make that work. Um, so that's in my mind, that's where my male super dwarf will go.
okay.
That will be sufficient for him. And if it's not, I'll build something different.
I'm sure that'll
But
be plenty for Mel Superdorf, you know.
uh, but with it being 5 feet tall, I've run into nightmares on heating that enclosure. Um, because when you have the heat panel at the top, to get it to an acceptable range 5 feet down with it all glass in the front, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, you might want to
Um,
look into you might want to look into belly heat. Just might make your life easier.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Um, well, my other problem is I have so much substrate on the bottom
Mm,
too. So that makes it difficult for that to heat through all
yeah.
that. But what I did, I had a shelf. I buy a lot of my like the big bowls I get, they're realistic looking. I buy them from
Hmm.
Universal Rocks. I buy the shelves also, and then I, secure them to the wall. Well, I put a piece of 1/2 inch PVC underneath one of the rocks,
Hmm.
and then I foamed it so it looked, natural. And then I put a little heat panel underneath there.
Oh, okay.
So that made it, I have heat coming down from up here, heat coming down from the bottom. That reached my ambient, and now they
Hmm.
have two hot spots in that enclosure. But
Okay.
it was a lot of going to the drawing board and knowing I can fix this problem. How do I fix the problem? Oh, more money, that's how. And so it works now. But if I do have the glass open, the cage open for an extended period of time, it takes quite a while to heat that enclosure back up.
Hmm.
So I
What
learned a lot from that one.
what are you trying to get your ambience at typically?
In the around 77, 78.
Yeah, like this time of year, I'm running between 70 and 75.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I run a little cooler this time of year. But yeah, usually mid 70s is they seem to do fine at mid 70,
yeah,
And
and
they spend a lot of time away from the heat.
yeah. On the 8 foot enclosures, it'll get down to 70, 72 degrees,
Yeah.
and they'll stay there as
Yeah,
long
no
as they want.
problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah, and that's how
problem.
I know that's kind of reassuring to me. It's like, is it too cold? Is it not? Is it too warm? I'm thinking they have plenty of room to go to where they want to go.
Yeah.
So it's not a concern for me. And then I have logs and branches where if they really want to get warm, they go sit on that and they sunbathe. You
Hmm.
know, the UVB lights hitting them, the heat panel's right there, and you know, they're living their best life.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, so with your not Aztec, with your ocelot, your first breeding's probably going to be the Aztec tiger, you think?
Um, for my Aztec or for because my first breeding will be that Coyote Aztec
No,
type.
the first breeding for your ocelot female. What are you
Oh,
planning
yes,
on doing with
yes.
her?
Well, she's only, I don't think she'll go next year.
Really?
I think I'll have to wait until let me see. She was born in October of 22. Let me double check. Uh, Roundabout, she was born October 20th of 2022. Uh,
She might.
yeah, she
She
has
might.
she's got the size.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
and it's
will
mainland.
hopefully.
Their mainlands typically will go at 3.5.
Okay.
So
Um, but yeah, I have hopefully next fall will be busy time for me
yeah,
or winter or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, because your
Um,
your hypo looks pretty decent size back there.
yeah, she's actually. young, um, or younger. But yeah, she is. She had a growing spurt. Um, and I'm gonna be honest. I feed them
Yeah.
like I don't. I see some people. I feed them once every 2 weeks. I don't do that. I feed them more often than that.
Hmm.
From everyone that I've spoken to, once they get to 10 feet, they say you got to really cut them back. Don't feed them as heavy. Um, and that's advice that I mean I've talked to quite a few people, and that's what I've been doing. I haven't, and they're active. They don't just sit there because they're fat or anything like
Yeah.
that. I take them out. They get plenty, excuse me, plenty of exercise. Um, but that's how I currently, do it. The hypo was born July. I'm sorry, yeah, July 26th of 23.
Oh, okay. So she's got a little bit of time yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the Aztec female, I'm hoping she goes this fall.
Hmm.
Because she was born May 15th of 22.
Hmm. And
So
you're gonna shoot for Super Aztecs, or what are you gonna do there?
no, my pairing with her is gonna be my purple Sunfire OGS.
Okay.
That's gonna be her first pairing. Um, And then once that is done, so part of my concern is that if I'm making super Aztecs, which knock on wood, depending on who else has an ad, like everyone
Hmm.
says they know all these people that have Aztecs,
I
but
don't
it's
think
always
that
a
many
secret.
people have. I don't think that many
Yeah.
people have Aztecs.
Now I know of a couple because they've posted it on
Yeah.
social media or they've reached out to me and was asking questions about it because they know that I have them. Um, but if that is the case, I should. If I'm fortunate and they breed, I know a lot of things can happen, be able to make the first super Aztecs in the United States.
Yeah.
Because my female is of that age. Um, there's, to my knowledge, like I said, I could be completely wrong, but there's no other females in the United States that age, you know, that I'm aware of that are for sale.
Hmm.
Um, so that would help me, but I don't want to just go and make the super Aztecs and then sell them. Now everyone's gonna have, it's just
Yeah.
gonna,
Now you're making an entire clutch of them to, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. So I'm not looking to do that. I don't want to. I want to respect the market.
Yeah.
Um, I, you see some of these where they get flooded. People get excited. They're trying just to make the money off of it. Um, and I don't want to lowball myself, and I don't want to
Hmm.
lowball the other people that have invested into this project. I'm sure
Well,
they spent a pretty penny too.
a lot of the mainland, a lot of the older style mentality breeding, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But as long as you're working in localities and you have a justification for some higher prices,
Mhm.
don't worry about it. Because I mean, one of those mainland breeders is going to get one, and they're going to breed it to everything, and
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yep.
But we see what's happening. Just go on Morph Market if you think that's a good plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's real obvious it's not. So
Yeah.
as long as you're working it into dwarfs and super dwarfs, that's the most stable aspect of the market.
Yeah.
Like I would
Yeah.
like to get into Aztecs eventually, but there isn't that much I want to do with them though. You know what I mean? It's like all I'm going to do with them is run them to some localities to make some cool looking Aztecs.
Yeah.
That's about all I'd really want to do with them.
Yeah.
Maybe see what like an Aztec anthrax looks like or something. But other than that, I don't have. You know, I try. I personally I think a lot of morphs sometimes less is more. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
just add some nice color and some nice pattern, and
Yeah.
because a
And
lot of times it's easier to make things look worse than I think a lot of
yeah.
breeders realize.
Hmm. Yeah, I there's quite a few where one, you don't even know what the animal is.
Yeah, that's like,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's 10 different traits. It's difficult for the average person to see what's even in that
Hmm.
snake. And I get it. People, again, I'm attracted to the unknown. So maybe they're going to see how it hits the market. Is it really great looking? Um, but then when we realize that it's not, why do we make that breeding five
Uh,
times over
yeah,
again?
if we had to
You know?
just keep doing it.
Yeah. Um, but I do agree, and again, that's why I'm going the smaller route,
Hmm.
and that's why I'm going the more the rare recessive traits
Yeah.
route with the Aztec. Um, hopefully it'll hold the value that's never been made before. And some of the stuff that has been made, like the purple Aztec, that is the prettiest snake.
Hmm.
I saw them make, I forget his name who made it overseas, but phenomenal looking. I want to make that,
Yeah.
I want that in my collection. So, yeah, and I think that's what makes it great too, is, there are going to be a lot of people that aren't interested in this project, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people that are that they can't justify spending that money right now. And just like everything else, the price will go down on them,
Hmm.
for the Tiger Aztec Sunfires, which I'm sure will look great. Hopefully the price stays good or goes even higher for the, Hypo Aztecs or
Hmm.
the Purple Aztecs or something along those lines.
Well, what was I saw a snake? It was overseas. That I think it was a Motley Aztec tiger or something that looked
Uh,
really impressive. You
yeah,
know, you
I
know,
think the Motley really it goes well.
which is
Um,
surprising.
yeah, yeah,
It's
with the
surprising
Aztec.
how well Motley actually does go with Aztec.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
yeah, I was surprised to see because I love black ticking, black speckling on side
Mhm.
patterns, like so anything that's got a bunch of like black dots on it and black you know scales, I love that. I love that look.
Yeah,
So I've been pretty impressed with what I'm seeing people doing overseas.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's awesome watching them over there.
yeah.
And not only that, I reach out to them all the time, and like we talk back and forth. There's probably five or six of the people that are working with Aztecs,
Hmm.
because there's only a couple people here,
Yeah.
that are. Um,
Hold on, I
so
gotta go yell at a cat.
hey, no problem.
No, I'll get the fuck off. Just clawing at the door, non fucking stop.
Yeah, yeah,
Would not fucking quit. Holy shit. He just wanted in here to do nothing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, no, I mean, I have, what do I got in the incubator right now? I have Motley Tiger's 75% ternate. And I'm hoping that that gives me quite a bit of black speckling on the sides and breaks up the tiger pattern significantly to move forward with that project. But I am excited to see what people do with Aztec.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't seem to be nearly as limited in like say Ocelot. I think Ocelot has some more limitations to it, and what you can, well, especially with the color wise, it's got some color limitations to it. Still an awesome looking, still one of the best, if not the best, overall retic morph. But I really think Ocelot or Aztec. I think it's I don't think there's anything with as much potential as that
yeah,
gene. So yeah,
yeah,
so I think you're in a really good space to be moving forward with your breeding plans.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to soak it all in and just be open, to
Yeah.
people saying, "Hey, maybe try this a little differently," or I've had people reach out to me about breeding. It's like you're talking to the wrong person, and I'll give them contacts like, "Hey, reach out to them."
Yeah.
Um, you know, I I've have spoke with, we'll say hundreds of people
Mm-hmm.
in regards to their snakes. On trying to purchase them, find out ideas. Not once have I not followed up with them and said, "Hey, I appreciate all your time, but I'm moving a different
Yeah.
direction." I refuse. I'm not going to leave anyone hanging. Um, and I'm not going to give them bad information. And if you're asking me for breeding information, it's not going to be intentional bad information, but I don't have the experience. There's plenty of you guys out there that have years of experience. So I'd much rather say, hey, no, not right now. Give me a couple of years.
Yeah.
Then maybe I'll feel more confident in giving out information. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's been quite a people that are interested in it. But we'll see what happens. Ultimately, I'm interested in it, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters to me. I don't think I'll have. Well, one side of me is like, it can be difficult to sell these snakes. I'm not going to undercut the market. If the people that are selling them at this price, I'm going to follow with that if I
Mm-hmm.
feel accordingly about it, which, and that could be a conversation with those people that do have them that are selling them.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to be open and friendly to those aspects. Um, but I could see it going both ways. People, who has 15 grand or 20 grand to spend on the snake right
Yeah.
now?
Especially a single animal.
Yeah. On top of, you hear all the time people can't afford their groceries or,
Mm-hmm.
electric bill, who has all this money? So that's why I refuse to do a breeding unless it's something that's going to further my agenda on what I want to happen. I
Yeah.
don't want to sell the snakes on Morph Market for 100 or 200 bucks. I want to be intentional and deliberate with what I'm doing. And if that means that I miss out on some breedings and some money, so be it. I don't care. I just want to do it right on my terms.
Mm. What do you think you're going to be asking if you get a good clutch, get them hatched out? What do you think you'll be asking on Coyote Aztec tigers?
Well, just personally how I feel, I like the Aztecs better than the Tiger Aztecs.
Yeah.
That's just my personal preference. I think they look cleaner. I mean, I enjoy my Tiger Aztec. But
Well, not to cut you off, but tiger, polygenic traits come into play big time with tiger back pattern. So, you get that back pattern split up a little bit more. You can probably end up with a completely different
mm,
looking animal. So,
gotcha.
I'll be and Kaiwatis have a possibility to actually spread out the back diamonds a little bit. So there's a good chance you're gonna make some tiger Aztecs that look completely different than your male.
Gotcha.
So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see the variation
Yeah. Yeah,
there.
that'll be neat to see.
Yeah.
I mean, to be transparent with you, I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, maybe I don't sell any of them.
Yeah.
Maybe I only sell females.
Hmm.
Um, I just don't want to oversaturate the market. I don't want to undercut myself or the other breeders. But honestly, what I would do, I would have a conversation with Bob.
Yeah.
He's the one that has them on the market currently. I don't know if he has any more on the market. Um, but I'd shoot him a message, talk to him. Not saying that that would be a final determination,
Hmm.
by any means. But I would hate to throw it out there and say, hey, I want 20 grand a pop for him. And then next month, someone else, I want 10 grand a pop.
Yeah.
And I look like an asshole, you know? And then that's where I feel like what has helped me is I have good relationships with, I feel like everyone from every corner of this hobby.
Hmm.
Um, and I see this all the time. I mean, people, it's all out there. Someone does something to someone that was their friend that they could
Yeah.
trust, and then they screwed it all over. Um, but I guess realistically, to answer your question outright, um, with the current market of asking price, I think it was 17.5 for a male tiger Aztec,
Mm-hmm.
100% het mocha or white. Um, with it being classified as a super dwarf,
Yeah.
50% Coyote Tiger Aztec, it would be very similar to that, or even higher,
Yeah,
for asking price.
I was guessing your price would probably be about 25.
And it may be, or to your point, maybe someone has some trades that I just need to
Mm-hmm.
have. Travis, are you listening? Um, you know, um, so yeah, I'm open to that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to get, I don't want to not, but I'm sure potentially I could be flooded with all these messages. Hey, I'll trade you my anthrax,
Yeah.
whatever. It's no, no, thank you. One, I don't have the space for that. I'm sure it's a beautiful animal, but that's not part of my plan. Um, and you'd still owe me 22 grand,
Yeah.
on top of it, so, um, and it's nerve-wracking making that big of a purchase. What
Mm-hmm.
happens when they dispute it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not out a little bit of money. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But I fully intend the route that I'm going. You can obviously see the Aztecs, the more they're out there, the lower the
Mm-hmm.
price will be. But my price, I'm not, it's not going to be affected by that because I'm going to have, my intentions are the super dwarfs,
Yeah.
the recessive traits that, as history repeats itself, those always go for more money because
Yeah.
they take longer to accomplish. Their looks are different. They retain their value longer. So
Hmm.
that's my route.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good plan. I think you got a good long-term plan,
Yeah.
and probably will make you some money.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, and I do hope that I do. I don't want to be arrogant and act like, oh, if I make, it is a business.
Yeah.
Like you said, Aztec and Marble, that's like buying I don't know, a Ferrari and a Camaro.
Yeah.
They can both be cool, but
Yeah.
one's way cheaper.
Yep.
Um, so I did on the intentions of, if the Aztec was never available, I would have went a completely different route.
Really.
It probably just would have been a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And if I bred something, great. But when I had that, it's like I want to go all out then,
Hmm.
and that's what I did.
Well, is there
Yeah.
any other things you want to hit? Any other topics you want to talk about, or?
No, no, I think the biggest thing is, for me, I mean, there's a lot of great people out there,
Mhm.
that are willing to help.
Yeah.
Um, there's not been one person, that I've reached out to, and I was told that you're a dick. So just be aware when I reach out to you, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So I still reached out to you a couple years ago, right? No problems, no nothing at
Yeah.
all. So I think we put that, like, let us form our own opinions on
Yeah.
people, and when we speak to them, let our own experiences establish how we really, form our own opinions on that. And I did that, and I feel like if I didn't, I would have missed out on a lot of great knowledge from people from different aspects of this hobby.
Oh yeah.
Um, they all have different experiences, different projects they're working on. So that's what when I see people say there's no one to talk to, nah, there's lots of people to talk to. It's just how open are you to that feedback? If you're saying you're new and you're not listening, don't just listen to one person. I would listen to 3 to 5 people and form a decision based off of that, um, off of their 30 to 50 years experience combined.
Yeah.
Um,
And I put out a ton. I mean, I put out a ton of free information.
yeah,
I mean, it's like if you want to know about retics, you can find out because you got all of Facebook, you got all the
yeah,
social media. You can go to my website and just get free information.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You watch the YouTube videos, and I try to put out a healthy amount of helpful
Yeah.
information so people have it. Because I mean, like I've been so focused on selective breeding, not only because it makes nice animals, but because I feel like that's the best way to stabilize our market is focusing on quality.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I try to put out that information to help people make better decisions about their breeding, because it it helps all of us when the quality of production is constantly being pushed forward. Just random breedings, stuff that doesn't need bred, that doesn't help anybody. you know and
No.
and I'd much rather try to put out some info that's going to help people uh make better looking stuff, because that helps stabilize their prices, my prices, your
Hmm.
prices.
Yeah.
It's I think that's how you kind of protect the overall market,
Yeah.
is through that selective production. So
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons I actually try to help people as much as I do. you know
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, that people can see that if they spend any amount of time, they'll see the people that are really
yeah they'll
trying to help.
yeah, it don't
You know.
take long to figure out who's trying to get your money and who's you know it
Yeah.
don't take long for that sales pitch to come out.
Hmm.
you know
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've reached out to the people. There's a couple of people I haven't purchased a snake from,
hmm
that I talk to extensively. I mean, any time, it doesn't matter what time it is, what day it is. I'll
yeah,
send them a message, bam, they respond.
yeah,
And I haven't spent a single penny on their projects or on their
yeah,
animals. And I'll remember that, when it
hmm
comes time, hey, someone wants to buy something from me,
yeah,
you help me out, all that. That's worth something. Your time is worth something.
yeah,
And if I can do something to show my appreciation for that, I definitely will. Um, but that's what I like. It's nice seeing that we do have those people,
hmm
in this hobby. And there's tons of them that aren't, and I get that too. Um, but don't associate with those people, then you're fine.
yeah, yeah. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yep, I agree.
but
So
yeah, it was a good talk. I'm glad you came on, because there's hardly anybody working with Aztec, so I really wanted to talk to you. And you hear what your plans were for that, and because I think that's a really bright future.
yeah,
The
I
whole
hope so.
Aztec morph. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I appreciate it. And
yeah,
if you think we covered it all, and you're
yeah. I
good,
think
I'm
we're
good.
good.
All right, let
Yeah,
me we'll end it there, and give me
okay.
1 second.
Sure.